Hey, my friends, welcome back to Body Led by Design. I am Melissa Ike, and today we're going to talk about the cost of surviving. And I want to talk about this today because I know so many times we're just like, let me get through this week, or let me get through this season, or this month. And then pretty soon it's us years later saying, I thought it would get better by now. I thought it would get easier. I thought I would figure it out. And this is the cost of surviving, staying in survival mode. Now, you're smart. You know that staying in survival mode isn't a smart thing. Yet we continue to do it over and over again because we're just hoping for the best. And what I want to help you find is function and what it actually takes to create that function so your body feels safe. This isn't the first time you've heard me say this, but if it is, I'm always working on helping you create safety in your body. When your body feels safe, your body simply does what you want it to do. Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to have balanced hormones? Do you want to sleep at night? Do you want more energy? Do you want to stop fighting your body? Do you want to stop dieting? All of those things that we all want wrapped up in a nice, pretty little bow of feeling safe in our body. But what I see over and over again is that we're actually doing the opposite of creating safety in our body because you're busy, like really busy. And I totally understand this. I am busy as well. And I am like in the pool with you. I'm like, yes, we are busy, but I also know that you have so much potential to be busy and also function. And to keep your head above water and not necessarily have to manage absolutely everything and everyone, because we do that in an over functioning way that actually takes away from us. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And one thing about surviving is that we're always looking at it as I'm looking at survival as like a short-term plan. Let me just get through this week. Let me just get through this season. Let me just get through this month or this project, whatever it is. And we start to think that surviving, or we start to actually believe that surviving can cost us less in the short term, right? It costs me less to just be able to survive through this week, to not have to focus on other things. But I want you to start to think in this episode how surviving is actually a lot more work than thriving. And to get to a thriving or a functional state is a lot less work than what you actually think it is. And because thriving is really built on foundation. And when we build simple, easy foundations in our day-to-day life, surviving doesn't become our go-to. Our go-to becomes very functional and very easy and very simple. And it just becomes who we are. And that's what we all really want. Because what often happens is that when we're staying stuck in survival, I'll see myself do this, totally being honest. But I'll also see like my clients do it, or just all of you podcast listeners, whoever, is that maybe like Sunday rolls around, right? And you had a hectic week last week. Your weekend was also very busy, but maybe on Sunday you got a little bit of downtime. And you're starting to think about the week ahead. And you're like, how can I do this week better? How can I maybe eat perfectly this week? How can I make sure that I get everything that I need to be? Maybe it's meticulous tracking. Maybe it's planning every single meal. How can I meal prep everything so I actually follow through? What if I just had every single meal ready to go for myself? How can I schedule all of my clients' appointments in a smaller amount of time? How can I get everything I need to get done this week so maybe that next week I would have more free time? Maybe I'd have more open time. I've been feeling really bloated. Maybe this is the week I decide to cut out gluten, and maybe then I'll feel better. And so what you go into is like going from a very hectic week or a lot of busyness, and then you're like, I'm going to curate the perfect week. So everyone is cared for. Everything is planned, and you feel really good about your curated week. And what you're doing without realizing it is that you are trying to micromanage and keep yourself safe through control. And yes, we always want safety, but safety doesn't actually come from micromanaging everything in our life. Safety comes from showing our body that our environment is safe. Because while you're doing that, your body is perceiving this as not safe. Your body is like, whoa, what is going on here? This is really extreme. Anything that is extreme through micromanagement, I'm going to plan every single meal. I'm going to get all of these appointments in. I'm going to cut out all of these food groups. I'm going to make sure that everything runs very perfectly and within my tight control. And this makes your body feel rather unsafe because remember from last week's podcast, I talked about how we can't really deceive our body. Our mind is coming in and saying, you're going to do this and you're going to do it perfectly. And it's got a lot of tight grip on it. And your body can read between the lines. It's not like, oh, that sounds like a wonderful plan, Melissa. I can't wait for the restriction and the over control. I feel really good about that. Your body's like, I don't think things are good out there. I feel like we shouldn't feel this stressed about a good week. We shouldn't have this much tight control over wanting to feel better. And sure enough, even with everything planned out for yourself, you meal prepped, you have your schedule exactly the way you want it. You feel like you've got the week ahead of time. And then sure enough, the schedule will fall apart. Your child will get sick. You will forget the food that you prepped on the counter. And you're running from one thing to the next thing. And your very tight, overscheduled calendar now feels like a literal nightmare. And you skip lunch. And by 9 p.m., you're eating whatever you can find and then also feeling terrible about it because stress has taken over. Your nervous system has taken over. Now you're in fight mode and you're reactive with your family and you're yelling. And by Sunday, the next Sunday, you're right back where you were. Right? Telling yourself, I just need to try a little bit harder. I'm going to do it a little bit better next week. And you're trying to control the wrong thing. You are trying, but you're not trying in a functional way. You're trying in a nervous system dysregulation way. So we're trying in fight, we're trying in flight, we're trying in freeze, we're trying in fawn. Whenever we're trying to create safety in the body, by being in those defaults and those buckets, we're creating more unsafety, more of that dysregulation inside of the body. Because when you're skipping lunch to squeeze in a meeting, that's a freeze response. When you tell yourself that I'll just deal with breakfast after this meeting or after this call, right? That's flight. You don't ever actually get to breakfast, right? You just find another thing to do. When you're mean to yourself for creating this mess all over again, or you're yelling at your family because they're getting on your nerves, that's fight, right? That's that reactive response. And when you push down your own needs because of a client email that feels really emergent, or this thing feels like an emergency, I have to take care of this, even when it's not an emergency situation, that's fawning, right? All of those responses, they're not random. They make actually complete sense because at some point in your life, these responses, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, were taught to you that this is how you feel safe. Right? You were probably shown or told, or when you prioritized other people, you got something from that. You got to feel respected. You got to feel like you were needed. You got to feel loved and valuable. And you did that by then continuing to use that coping mechanism and making sure that everyone feels cared for around you. And you continue to take that and apply it to your day-to-day adult life at this point, and also your midlife body. And now that is coming back and it's not helpful anymore. Right? What created safety for you in the past of over caring for people and neglecting yourself got you something that you actually needed in that moment to feel valuable, to feel loved, and to feel cared for and like you were needed. But at this point in your life, when you're in midlife, you don't have an abundance of hormones. You're not as resilient as you were 10 years ago. Sleep is a little scarce. Hormones are not as created in abundance or detoxed very well. All of those things are also in place here. And so now we can't afford to leave ourselves behind and prioritize other people and expect both of us to win. We actually have to prioritize our body first, create safety in our body so that we have an abundance to give to everyone else. And also, you're not exchanging the fact that those people won't ever feel cared for. Those people won't ever feel like you are needed or they love having you around or whatever that thing is that you love that you feel from taking care of somebody else instead of you. You actually get both, but the first action has to go to your body. The subsequent actions then get to go to the other people and the other parties. And so it's not that it's this or that, it is both, but we need to think about the sequence of action here much differently than what we have in the past. And so, as a little girl, or as a teenager, or as a young 20 something, those coping mechanisms of leaving yourself behind and caring for other people or tasks or whatever it is before you paid off, but not anymore, right? Now your body's having to pay the price for it. And what you see now is a problem of my weight won't budge. I'm bloated. I'm not sleeping. I have low energy. I'm very moody and very reactive. What your body sees is skipped meals, evenings spent working, no space to rest, constant micromanagement, and a nervous system that never gets to come down from dysregulation, right? You're seeing the symptoms and your body is seeing all the things that are not creating safety in your body. Your body is not the problem. And I'm going to say this in the most loving way possible because I want you to know whenever I say something that is a little bold and it's going to maybe poke the bear, I'm only saying it so you can actually see the problem here and not take blame, go into a shame spiral, be mad at me for saying this, but to actually highlight something that maybe somebody else isn't willing to tell you, but I'm willing to tell you because I actually love you and I care about you. Your body is not the problem. You are. The way you've been taught to function is the priority of the problem. That's the main problem. But now you are an adult and it is your responsibility at this point in your life to know that you were taught something that is no longer serving you and to work on releasing that thing, right? The overfunctioning, the control, the spiral of planning, the micromanagement, the belief that if you could just get the circumstance perfect enough that your body would finally cooperate, because it won't. That's not actually how it works anymore. The question that you need to ask is, how can I create a body that feels safe enough to function? Because our nervous system has a default and it will always have a default. We want to remember that we're not going to just stop having a nervous system. We're not going to stop going into dysregulation, but we can shorten the amount of time we spend in dysregulation, so much so that it doesn't hurt or harm us anymore. But right now we're spending far too much time in dysregulation that it does hurt and it does harm us and it does keep us from function. Because when we're stuck in the fight, the flight, the freeze, and the fawn response, we are stuck in survival and we keep claiming, I just need one more week here. I just need one more week here. I just need another month. We just need another season, right? And you keep taking and taking and taking, and you're taking on borrowed time. You're taking on borrowed energy. You're taking on borrowed hormones. This is not a long-term plan, yet you just keep like hoping you can squeeze one more week out of this. It's like you're squeezing that toothpaste container all the way. Like there's no more squeezing on the toothpaste. You're done. We can't squeeze anymore out of this toothpaste container. Because what we really want is not to continue to squeeze the toothpaste. We want, and what I want for you is function. And not the hope that everything goes perfectly week to week, not the white knuckling until the busy season ends, the actual function, the thing that's very reliable and actually, honestly, doesn't take more energy than what you're already using staying stuck in survival. We think that function and thriving would be a whole lot more work, but it really isn't. It's actually less work than staying in survival. Because staying in survival is a huge energy suck, not only in your physical body, your hormones, your emotions, your mental capacity. Also, keeping your family stuck in survival mode as well, watching you try to keep everything together. They don't love that either. You don't love it either. But what we want is actual function, the thing that's actually reliable and doesn't take more energy than being in survival. And we want the kind that just is who you are, regardless of what the week throws at you, regardless of what the week throws at you, and the kind that you don't have to keep starting over because you never actually stopped. Right? It doesn't mean having an overzealous week where you have everything perfectly curated. It means actually having like instead of a type A personality, a type B personality with your wellness. A type B personality with your wellness is going to get you all the way to the end forever. It's going to be embodiment. It's going to be who you are. It's going to be natural. You don't have to be a type A to function. I actually highly encourage you to be type B to be able to function really well. That's what creates weight loss without dieting. That's what creates balanced hormones naturally. That's what creates consistent energy. That's what creates sleeping well at night. This isn't the perfect meal plan. This is a safe nervous system. This is a safe body. And if you're listening to this today on Tuesday, March 31st, we are actually starting today inside my free 3-day live experience called Fed Up. Because if you're hearing this and you're already in it, great. I can't wait to talk to you today, or maybe I did already and you're catching up on this. But if you are just hearing this and you're just hearing about Fed Up, don't worry. You can get the replay the moment that you sign up. I'm going to be going live on Tuesday today, Wednesday, and Thursday. You will get the replay for all 3 days if you are listening to this later. So basically, as long as you sign up before April 10, you will get all of the replays. So Fed Up is not 3 days of more information. You already have a lot of information. I don't need to give your brain more information to feel confused over. What do I do with this? I'm going to teach you 3 days of embodiment. I'm not teaching you more things to know. I'm teaching you how to actually apply this to your real life, your real schedule, your real body that you have right now, this midlife body, not the body you had 10 years ago, not the body you had 20 years ago, not your mother's body, not your grandmother's body, not your daughter's body, this body that you have right now. And after Fed Up, you're going to get an invitation to join Body Wisdom. And this is where we take everything that we cover together and we go deep and we become a true embodiment of the woman who thrives. Not occasionally, not when circumstances are perfect. This is the default of who you are. Somebody who loses weight when she wants to lose weight, somebody who has naturally balanced hormones, someone who has consistent energy, and someone who does not need to start over week after week after week, because you become the healthiest and more authentically well version of you, like without even trying. It becomes who you are. And I know that's what you've been striving for years. And that is what we are going to do in Body Wisdom. No more surviving, no more starting over, no more waiting for the busy season to end. Because my friend, if it was going to end, it would have ended by now. It's not coming. Right? This is your responsibility to step in and find new ways to understand yourself better and to stay out of constant fight, flight, freeze, or fun and into day-to-day functioning. So you can sign up for Fed Up in the show notes or head to my Instagram and DM me the word Fed Up and I'll send you the link. If you're ready to learn more about Body Wisdom and sign up, enrollment closes April 10. You can go to Melissa Ike Wellness /Body Wisdom. All right, my friends, any questions, always shoot me an email, send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Melissa_Ike. I cannot wait to see you live in Fed Up. I hope to welcome you in with a warm hug for Body Wisdom, and I will see you all next week.